There is a new interview, new comments from President Trump just out now in an interview that he gave to The Atlantic, obviously that outlet that covers a variety of news, including, of course, foreign news, that spoke with President Trump apparently today. This is just published. And in it, President Trump appears to threaten the current Venezuelan vice president, the interim president, Delcy Rodríguez, who we just talked about, with what he describes as a price bigger than what Nicolas Maduro paid. I want to go to our chief international correspondent, Keir Simmons, who's joining us now. Keir, this is just dropped. So this is, we're in kind of developing rolling coverage right here. But looking at some of these comments from President Trump, he is sort of clearly defiant about this strike. He is also talking about Venezuelan leadership. And I want to read the quote here. I think our team has made it, saying that if she doesn't do what's right, Delcy Rodríguez, this is, she is going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro, who is obviously sitting in that detention center in Brooklyn right now. You see the quote here. And Keir, this is part of the question that is on the minds of so many people around the world who are watching this, which is what happens to Venezuela next?
That's right. And we were talking yesterday, weren't we, Halle, about the question of where is and what has happened to Delcy Rodríguez, what is her role going to be, and was a deal done between the Trump administration and Rodríguez? Now, just remember, this is a woman who was vice president under Maduro for many years, since 2018. She is now the interim president, according to Venezuelan authorities. If she's not now, she's being inducted into that position in the coming hours. And so she has kind of dyed in the wool Maduro, if you like, and yet what we had was President Trump suggesting at his news conference yesterday that there was a deal with her. Now, we heard from Secretary Rubio this morning on Meet the Press, and you played some of that and spoke to Kristen about it in that great interview. What he was asked about Delcy Rodríguez, and he didn't answer exactly. What he did suggest, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't have the quotes in front of me, but what he did suggest was that this was all about ensuring that the leadership in Venezuela acts more in the interests of the United States. So there now does appear to be a question mark because, well, President Trump, speaking to The Atlantic, may simply have just been riffing, or it may be an indication that they aren't entirely certain which way Delcy Rodríguez is going to go, and that they feel like they need to put more pressure on her. Now, she is, as I mentioned, she is somebody who's worked closely with Maduro. Her brother has been also serving in the Maduro regime. Her father was a very left-wing firebrand, and so she's of that heritage. She's of that politics, if you like. It will be stunning if she shifts, but that is apparently what the Trump administration has been looking for. And all of this goes to that question of what now? That is the real question here. Listen, I think you've been talking about it, Halle, on the show, about potential comparisons to Iraq. Let's be clear, this is not Iraq. You know, at the peak, America had 170,000 troops in Iraq. We talked yesterday, didn't we, about potential comparisons to the Bush operation in Panama in 1989.
Bush one,
This is not that either. Panama is smaller, and America had a lot of infrastructure actually around Panama already. Venezuela is much bigger, and there's this fundamental question of how, particularly if it's going to be try to be done remotely, if you like, how is the Trump administration going to get what it wants in Venezuela now that it has carried out this regime?
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.